Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul joined alongside Jack Weinberger and Robert Ziggy Ziegler at the University of Virginia. Just 2 more days, guys, until the NFL draft. It's fun, doing the research for this episode today. A little bit more research. I'm gonna reveal a little bit of a mock draft, I guess a 1.0, a finalized 1.0 mock draft. Just some early picks here, and I'll have Ziggy and Jack react to it. It is crazy just how much is still sort of up in the air with this draft. It's one of the more anticipated ones that I can think of over the past few years. And definitely that helps that the quarterbacks at the top have so much speculation around them. But it is just going to be amazing to see what happens on draft night. Please remember to go like this video, comment on it, subscribe to the channel, all the usual stuff. We appreciate everyone who's been listening. We've had a really successful March and April, even though it's been a little quiet for the past few weeks. It's still been a lot of fun putting out these videos. So today, we'll share our thoughts on really kind of finalizing the thoughts here before the draft starts. But there was one big story that came out of the NFL yesterday, and that was Zach Wilson being traded to the Denver Broncos. Wilson and a 7th-round pick, number 257, were sent from the Jets to Denver in exchange for pick 203 in the 6th round. That means now in that 2021 quarterback class, think of how many people are comparing the 2024 class to the 2021 class. 4 of the 5 first-round quarterbacks drafted. Trey Lance, or Zach Wilson, now sent for a 6th-round pick. Trey Lance sent for a 4th-round pick. You had Mac Jones and Justin Fields both sent away for 6th-round picks. 4 of the 5 guys outside Trevor Lawrence have now been traded, are no longer with their teams. Just goes to show, quarterbacks can be hyped up a lot and not work out. Like that is a risk you take when you draft a quarterback early. But the Jets, so they trade Wilson after a pretty tumultuous time in New York. 12-21 as a starter, 28 touchdowns with 34 turnovers. I still remember. Do you guys remember when all the hype was coming out about Wilson? And it was like the next big thing, the next Rodgers, and here we are now. I guess for most Jets fans, they're probably happy that this era has finally been moved past.
We remember our old co-host Andrew.
Oh yeah,
how he would used to talk about the Jets and Zach Wilson. I apologized to Zach Wilson. I was always one of the dudes who wasn't high on him, and then I was coming back around and publicly apologized. All right, maybe he's not that bad, but I was right all along.
Andrew called him a generational talent on this show at least 5 times.
I feel like a lot of people were expecting that from him coming out of BYU. He was speaking to the next big thing, number 2 overall. That's a shame. That's what it is.
I mean, I think what's a shame and what's incredible is that Justin Fields and Zach Wilson went for basically the same thing this offseason.
Yeah, you said that immediately today.
Yeah, so to all the Bears fans who were saying that they should be riding with Justin Fields, or that, Fields is highly valued, a lot of people think he's a starter. The league thinks he's marginally better than Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, just there's an extra 7th-round pick in there.
I mean, the Jets didn't do him many favors, let's be honest.
No, to be fair to Zach Wilson, look, he did have a lot of opportunities.
No, he did.
But also, it was a pretty poorly managed time that he had there, where even from the start, just thrusting him in, it didn't go well. Weren't a lot of weapons to work with, and the Rodgers circus, and of course, he was supposed to have last year to learn under Aaron Rodgers, and by the week 2 he's starting again.
Like
it was a disaster.
He had it pretty poorly. There are some quarterbacks though that I said this about Kenny Pickett. You kind of just watch him and you know that, okay, this is probably a backup at best. And Zach Wilson's kind of the same deal.
Yeah, he had some flashes here or there, but there was never enough consistency to really look at Zach Wilson and say, all right, he's worth the arm talent, or he's living up to the arm talent and the expectations that we place. Ziggy, you're giving a look that it seems like you're itching to say something.
No, I'm just having flashbacks. I mean, remember that quick run during last season when fans were talking about how Zach Wilson had really improved his play and was going to be the guy for the future.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think if anything, these front offices probably hold on to quarterbacks for too long after they're bad because you can't move off of them. But if a player has 2 terrible seasons in the NFL, it is very, very unlikely they will put together even an average season into the future. Now, I know it happens sometimes, but it's very rare. It is worth keeping that in mind as we're entering another pivotal year for a couple quarterbacks selected last year and a new crop.
Mm-hmm.
If you go 2 bad years in the NFL, it doesn't matter. You're going to get a new chance. You're going to get some new circumstances, but you're unlikely to ever do much of anything in the league.
Well, the more that I'm hearing from, within people that I work with, it sounds like it's Thanksgiving of year 2 is really That's the timeline. If you can't be ready, if you're not good enough by Thanksgiving a year two, that seems to be where the leash is for a lot.
And you don't need to be an all-pro Thanksgiving year
no,
but you have
good.
to show real improvement.
And yeah, and a lot like all those quarterbacks. I mean, Fields, I wouldn't put in the same category as Wilson, Lance, or Mac Jones. I actually do think Fields, his flashes have been brighter.
Hell yeah, they have.
Hey, the NFL thinks he's the same as the rest of those
NFL
guys.
Does. And as for Denver, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. There was just no world where, and I still think that there's more work to do for Denver still. They'll take a quarterback in the draft. It just depends where. But there was never a world where Sean Payton was going to roll out Jarrett Stidham and Ben DiNucci with their combined 5 starts as the quarterbacks next year for this Broncos team. And I don't think any Broncos fan sees Zach Wilson as anything more than a pretty low risk, potentially unlikely high reward guy who can go and join one of the best offensive minds in football, and maybe you could recognize some of that talent. I don't mind it for Denver, even though really at the end of the day, I don't think this is going to be much of a newsworthy story. And
I mean, the teams are splitting his bonus, right? There's really no risk here, but yeah, I mean, is the quarterback room of Jarrett Stidham, Zach Wilson, and Ben DiNucci the most miserable quarterback room in the NFL right now?
I mean, it has to be.
I mean,
there will be a quarterback. I'll reveal it in the draft.
We talk about Zach Wilson, the whole Jet situation. Denver's probably one of the few places that it's probably worse, right?
That's well, at least you have Sean Payton in Denver.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Ziggy, you brought up a funny point in our group chat earlier that Zach Wilson has to wear number 3. That we don't have to toss all those Russell Wilson jerseys away.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Broncos just released a new uniform that looks functionally the same as the old, so maybe they can put them in the shop and fans wouldn't notice. But it's crazy to be going from a mediocre Wilson to a terrible Wilson. You don't see that very often.
It's a business decision for look, I don't know who's buying Zach Wilson jerseys in Denver, but if they are,
people will.
Someone did today. Someone saw that and thought, this is the guy of the future, I believe.
There's an Andrew out there.
It's not that far from Utah.
Look, that's the thing. I was just going to say, he played at BYU. He's going back to that area of the country. Maybe he's a Midwestern player.
But look, all in on Zach Wilson.
Maybe he's a what?
A Midwestern player.
Are you calling Denver the Midwest?
Yeah. What do you think it is? The West?
Isn't it Mountain West?
The Midwest. We're not doing this. This is.
Well,
can we just light Jack up in the comments for saying that Utah and Denver are the Midwest? I always
view Colorado as the last state in the Midwest. Before
Colorado is West.
You think
Colorado
West?
Oh yeah,
I don't think
Midwest is like Illinois. Minnesota, Wisconsin.
The farthest state in the Midwest is what? I guess you could say Nebraska.
I think Midwest is like Kansas. Yeah, Nebraska. I'd throw Colorado in there.
Kansas is more of the South.
No, Kansas is not South.
No, Kansas is the Midwest.
Kansas
it depends on where you are in Kansas, but it's...
Well, Kansas borders Colorado, does it not?
We're not doing this. This is ridiculous.
Let us know in the comments. Well, it's Colorado Midwest.
Kansas is like a frontier
Kansas is not
state.
South.
Kansas is not the Midwest.
Yes, it is. It's not South.
If I'm in Kansas, maybe not it's not the South. It's not like Louisiana, Alabama.
Don't think I've ever heard. But Kansas is in the Midwest.
I'd say it's like the frontier or something like that. It's certainly not in the same range as Wisconsin.
Wisconsin's north.
Missouri.
What is the frontier?
Missouri.
Wisconsin's north.
Missouri. All right. Let's.
Wisconsin's north, not Midwest.
No, everyone would say that Wisconsin's in the Midwest. That I sign up on. I mean, the Packers fans can say Wisconsin's in the Midwest.
I think Wisconsin's north.
Okay, so what we'll do here is, anyone with their geography down, please let us know where we're right and wrong on this.
Zach Wilson is a Midwest/Western player.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'll do here for picks 1 through 12 in the draft, I will go ahead and share my predictions, a mock draft, and you guys maybe we'll go picks 1 through 5 and then 6 through 12. And just see if you guys agree with where my head is at heading into the NFL draft on Thursday. So we'll start. I'll go 1 through 5 here. The Bears, Caleb Williams, no brainer at this point.
Horrible pick.
I know you might not like it, but the dude was amazing. He is the most upside out of any of the quarterbacks in this draft. He's the number 1 pick. Number 2, I'd personally go Drake Maye, and I believe Ziggy would as well. But I do think the Commanders are completely enamored by Jayden Daniels. I think the running ability, and he's a good thrower too. He's a good thrower of the football. I think that the Commanders are going to wind up going with Jayden Daniels, and that really comes to the focal point of this draft, in my opinion, which is or who are the New England Patriots and what they do with that third pick. Because there's a lot of talk whether or not New England is going to actually trade back. Do they like these quarterbacks enough? Can they get a huge haul from a team like the Broncos or the Vikings, perhaps? The Giants are interested, people know. I think they're going to make the right decision, which is to draft Drake Maye, because you have nothing till you have your quarterback. And in my opinion, this is the best chance they'll have for a franchise quarterback in the next few years. You never know when you're going to be picking in the top 3 again. I think they go Drake Maye. 4, Cardinals, Marvin Harrison Jr. Kyler needs help. One of the best receiving prospects we've seen in a while, and that's Marvin. And then 5 here, a lot of people are talking trades with the Chargers. I look up and down the weapons that Justin Herbert has right now. You got Gus Edwards at running back. You got Josh Palmer, Quentin Johnston, and Darius Davis at receiver. Will Dissly's your tight end. That's not competing with Mahomes. That's not competing with Lamar and what they have in Baltimore. That's not competing with Burrow, Chase, and all those guys in Cincinnati. I think they're going to go after a stud. Malik Neighbors is someone who a lot of people say would be the number one. I mean, possibly in this class, but in any other class from previous years. I think they go and get Neighbors instead of Joe Alt or a trade back. What do you guys think of that top 5?
I like it for the most part, but I think that the Pats instead of Drake Maye will go back to Michigan.
Really?
And take JJ McCarthy.
Really? McCarthy at 3.
The last time that the Patriots drafted a right-handed passer from Michigan, it turned out to be pretty successful. And I think
fair enough.
I think they go the same route.
I think that's crazy. I think the McCarthy stuff is all smoke screens right now.
I think McCarthy's better than Drake Maye.
Ziggy, what do you think? So it was Caleb Williams to the Bears, Daniels to Commanders, Drake Maye Patriots, Cardinals Marvin Harrison Jr., Chargers Malik Neighbors.
I thought it made a lot of sense. I will say we've been seeing some bizarre stuff between Daniels and the Commanders recently that makes me think both sides might be out on that partnership. Mm-hmm. Right? There was that weird drama of Washington inviting a bunch of guys and Daniels' agent throwing shade on Twitter. Like, usually I don't care much about those things, but the messages you've been seeing from both sides makes me think that the Commanders don't want him and are trying to get some cover in case it doesn't work. And Daniels is trying to cover his butt when he gets picked number 3 instead of number 2. But nobody, you can see us from the insiders and the kinds of connections they're drawing. Nobody has any clue what's happening at the top of the draft with those crazy 2 quarterbacks. And then, Harrison at 4. I think none of the top 3 quarterbacks will be there, so there's no drama. And he's clearly a player you want to get. And then I like Neighbors at 5, too. I've been sitting down and thinking about who might actually trade up for this pick. And I actually don't think there are a lot of options that make sense. I don't think the Vikings are super eager to trade up for McCarthy. I don't think the Giants are super eager to trade up. So I think Neighbors makes a lot of sense there. Just sit, take your guy. Don't take an offensive tackle like everyone's saying they should. Get your receiver and move on.
Yeah, and if Justin Herbert is going to be the guy there for a long time, you do need some weapons. And just seriously look at the Chargers weapons I just read off. There's no one there right now. You could hope Quentin Johnston can take a step up, but you didn't see many encouraging features last season. And Neighbors just has so much star potential. There's so much superstar potential with him. I think they're going to go after him. Okay, so 6 through 12 here. The Giants now. A lot of people are talking about McCarthy to them. You gave Daniel Jones this huge contract. You got to give him a chance. Similarly to the Chargers, it's Devin Singletary, Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, Jalen Hyatt. I mean, that's just not enough to throw out for Daniel Jones and realistically give him fair expectations. I think they'll go Rome Odunze. Not that now I like Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr. Like a tier above, but Odunze, also has special upside. I think they're going to go with him. Titans, Joe Alt, easy pick for a team that really needs O-line help. Now here, the Falcons, number 8. Have a little fun here. That's where I have a trade. The Vikings moving up to 8 because the Vikings made all these moves. They need a quarterback. They're going to be a little afraid of Denver or potentially Vegas coming up. I think the Vikings trade up and take McCarthy. Am I thrilled about it? Not necessarily, but we need a QB. Bears go Dallas Turner, the edge out of Alabama, to pair now with Ziggy shaking his head, but to pair with Montez Sweat. Bears defense was coming on at the end of last season. I think that this is a dangerous team in the North moving forward. The Jets now, all right, these final 3 picks here, this is where it's going to get a little out of control. The Jets should probably go with an offensive lineman. If you watched the way Aaron Rodgers' career with them started off, the 4 plays, I mean, dude was run for his life. So they probably go O-line. But I'm going to have some fun and have them take Brock Bowers at 10 and give Rodgers another weapon. Ziggy's starting to shake his head. Brock Bowers is another weapon for Rodgers. Should probably be a lineman, but I'm having fun. 11 now, the Falcons. I go Latu, the edge rusher out of UCLA. They've needed edge help for a long time. I don't believe they've had a double-digit sack player since Vic Beasley in like 2016.
It's been a while.
And then the Broncos at 12. I'm gonna get they might go corner. I'm gonna go Bo Nix. That the Broncos are gonna go and take a quarterback and have their guy because Sean Payton is not getting any younger and Zach Wilson is not going to be the starter next year. They could probably trade back and might possibly trade back for that, but I think the Broncos are going to go quarterback early in the draft at some point. So I'll go Nix here.
So I do believe that the Giants at number 6 ultimately will end up with Malik Neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
But if not, if the top 5 goes according to Paul Farrington,
To my draft.
I think the Giants are taking Joe Alt before they take a receiver. And I believe that they will. I mean, it's needed. Like there's no protection for Daniel Jones at all.
I mean,
it's not because I think it's not because of their tackles. I think their offensive line. I mean, it's not great, but
like if you're not
how
going to
much
get
is Andrew Thomas making? Or are you going to put? Are you going to put Alt on the right side? The Giants will go receiver. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, but like if you don't get those top 2 in Marvin Harrison or Malik Neighbors, I don't think I would take the Washington kid out before I take an offensive lineman if you're the Giants.
I mean, you could. I like Andrew Thomas is over at left tackle already. They're fine there. I think they need weapons badly. I mean, did you hear who I read off, Jack? You're rolling out Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, Jalen Hyatt comfortably next year
with protection.
Okay.
And I also think the Falcons take Brock Bowers.
They have Pitts.
What?
I know.
Oh my god! All right.
Bowers, Pitts, Drake London, Kirk. Why not?
Imagine Jack is a GM right now.
Why not? They still have Muth.
Because it's a pick that doesn't make any sense.
You want to go 2 tight end sets and a good run game?
Yeesh. What do you think, Ziggy?
You're not using your number 8 pick to get a tight end who can block.
You have a good running back, right? And then you have Brock Bowers, Kyle Pitts, and Drake London.
Yeah, but they need
with
help
Kirk Cousins.
They need pass rushers. They need defense.
I think they maybe Byron Murphy. I'd go Byron Murphy or Brock Bowers.
Oh jeez.
You wouldn't go Brock?
No,
absolutely no.
I mean, I'm not taking Brock Bowers. In the first half of the first round.
Yeah, I think the Jets taking him. I think is more of a fun pick. I think they'll probably go lineman.
I'll go Atlanta Byron Murphy then.
Oof. Oh, Jack. Well, you never know. I mean, I've seen stranger things happen. Ziggy, what do you think, Ziggy? So I had
this projection on the CBS would agree with me.
I had Adunze, Alt, and then the Vikings trade up to McCarthy as 6 through 8. Any problems with that?
I don't think the Vikings are going to trade up. Because here's the thing, right? So as you've got it, and I think this is right, the Vikings have sat past a lot of teams. Is McCarthy really worth trading up for at this point?
Mm-hmm.
I think that if the Broncos or the Raiders want to overpay to go up and get him, you do you. But otherwise, I don't feel a lot of need to trade up. They tried to trade up. They weren't able to move up for the top few quarterbacks. McCarthy does not impress me enough to justify moving up for the kind of price Atlanta's going to demand. So I think Atlanta sits there. They take Turner or Verse, whoever they like more.
Got it. And then I had the Bears taking Turner. I saw you shaking your head for that. What was wrong with that pick? You didn't like?
I mean, I think edge can make a lot of sense.
You just didn't like the pick?
The question is, I think they're probably going whichever of Turner or Verse is available. I don't think it's likely, but there are a lot of really interesting cornerbacks at the top of the draft. I know it's not a huge need for the Bears, But when you've got an opportunity, I don't like the edges a whole lot. Versus like Latu and Verse are interesting prospects, but they've got some red flags. The cornerbacks I think are really excellent. You can always put another corner on your team. I know the Bears have CB1, but there's more to be
Yeah,
had.
but I mean, just because you have Johnson doesn't mean you can't have. It's always a good thing to have more cornerbacks,
Especially in the NFC North, huh?
Yeah, oh, dude, especially. I mean, all those teams are loaded.
I've seen Verse falling in a lot of drafts.
I've seen
like
it falling as well,
like low to mid 20s.
Which I was
surprised.
I think Latu's going to go ahead of Verst right now. A lot of people. I mean, there's the injury concerns with Latu, but every single person you hear talk about him, they're like, yeah, it might be the most upside potentially.
I like Verse a lot.
Yeah,
like Verse to me should be top 15 pick in the draft.
He probably will be. We'll see. It's if he's not 15, he's going to the Seahawks or the Rams.
So okay,
but then rounding it out.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, as you said, Bowers at 10 is a ridiculous pick, but that doesn't mean the Jets
Bowers
aren't going to do it.
He's going to the Falcons earlier.
I can see the Jets doing. I think they should.
No, I mean there's a reason the Jets are the odds-on favorite to take him. Right, they're in a win now situation. He profiles as a player who's ready to play right away. That makes a lot of sense.
Will you go line too?
With Fashanu on the board out of Penn State, I love that guy. And then I've got McCarthy falling to the Vikings at 11. If he's there, we'll take him. So then that just leaves the Bo Nix pick. And I'll say, I think Bo Nix in this draft is actually a lot like Will Levis in the last draft.
Okay.
Where if he's not taken right there at 12, he's falling to the second round.
I agree. Unless maybe Denver trades back up.
Yeah, but I don't think they would. I think if they were, it'd be on day 2.
The Broncos I believe, are minus 165 right now to draft Bo Nix. Now, that might not necessarily mean at 12, though.
I think second round is possible. If I'm the Broncos, I'm taking Kenyon Mitchell or Terrion Arnold.
Yeah, they do need cornerback help. It's probably better to do that, but I think people get impatient with cornerback. That's why, and I actually could even see the Raiders going after Penix at 13. Like, I think these quarterbacks, they'll probably
every year. So, like, I know I keep saying this is a broken record if you listen, but every year people predict one quarterback too many to go in the first round. That is going to happen again this year, and it's going to be with Bo Nix.
But the fun part of this draft to me, I actually do think that New England at 3 is the team that will set the precedent for the rest of the draft, depending on what they do. But let's say New England does go Drake Maye. That Vikings at 11, Broncos 12, Raiders at 13. That's going to be the fun part of the draft to watch. Like, which one of them makes the aggressive move up? Which one of them overreaches? Will any of them overreach? Like that. That's where I think you're going to see a lot of this draft, the chaos happen in what those 3 teams do. I'm not really buying the Giants as going up in the draft. I know people are talking about it. I think they stay put and get one of the receivers, and then it's just a matter of which one of those teams makes a move. I've seen the people saying the Jets trade up and get a receiver too. Not really expecting to see that either. I think the meat of it is that 11 to 13.
I think Bo Nix was the second best QB in the Pac-12.
I would love to see the Jack mock draft, like what the Jack top 10 would look like. It would just be
Bo Nix chaotic. The second best quarterback in the conference behind Michael Penix.
Jack would have at the 1. He'd have Drake Maye. He'd have Caleb falling to like 8. That mock draft would be insane.
My 1 would be JJ McCarthy. Caleb Williams is not going in the first round. And Brock Bowers going to the Falcons. And Joe Alt's going to the Giants.
The Jack mock draft would just be absurd. Ziggy, I want to circle back real quick.
I have a weird football mind, but it's the right football mind.
I want to circle back to New England because I keep going back to them at 3 here. Elliot Wolf, their director of scouting, longtime executive with the Packers. His dad was the general manager for the Packers for a long time. He said they're open for business regarding the 3rd pick. And of course, you should always be open to business. Why would you not be willing to take potentially a massive haul? Now, at the same press conference, multiple times he pushed back on the narrative that New England isn't ready for a quarterback. That's the huge story we keep hearing about the Patriots. It's, they have a top 3 pick, but is this team really built for a rookie quarterback right now? Which is just one of the dumbest things I think that I've heard. Like, how often is a top 3 team really ready for a rookie quarterback? Not
almost never.
Almost never. And but I said at the beginning of the show, you really are nothing until you have your quarterback figured out. So to me, the Patriots need to draft Drake Maye. I understand the temptation of the Vikings offering, this Godfather offer of 3 first-round picks, maybe another second. But I just don't. You can't guarantee you're going to be back in a position to land a guy like Drake Maye. Am I crazy for thinking this?
So it depends on the offer you get, right? But it is possible the Vikings offer enough. I mean, if you're offered 3 first-round picks, 11, 23 in the first next year, I think you have to really think about
Well,
it.
you have to consider.
It's the question is, I think, and we're not going to see anything happen until draft day. The Patriots and the Vikings and like all of these teams interested in trading up, we don't know what their order is, but they have a very strong feeling about Jayden Daniels versus Drake Maye.
Mm-hmm.
You know that that's in the back of their minds. The Commanders are going to decide, I think, whether the Patriots move or not. And it's just based on whether they take the guy the Patriots have their eye on or not.
And who you think that's Jayden Daniels?
I think it's so hard to tell. You know, I know that we're supposed to come out here and say, give some bold take, and I get why. But you look at the kinds of rationale that like the real insiders in the know are giving for why teams are going to make picks, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, the Vikings hired JJ McCarthy's former high school coach.
Yeah, McCown. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like when these are the kinds of reasons people are giving, here's what it means. No one has any clue what anyone's thinking. And we're not going to find out until Thursday night. I'm going to be on a plane to Denver actually during the draft. So I'll see if there's fireworks over Denver. I've known something big happened. That's where
I'll be covering the Titans down in Nashville.
Yeah, we'll have everyone scattered across the globe for draft night. It's go ahead, Jack.
So I was gonna say if the in terms of trading back, I feel like if the Pats really love those quarterbacks like Michael Penix, Bo Nix, JJ McCarthy, then it might make sense. But obviously, if they like one of those top 2 of the top 3 in Daniels or Maye, they're sticking right where they're at.
I mean, look, if you're a Patriots fan right now and they get this haul, that's awesome. You know, you can have those extra few picks to try and round out a few position groups. But I'm just thinking if you roll into next year with who is it, Jacoby Brissett is going to be the quarterback. Like,
no, I mean you're throwing away another year.
You're throwing away another year, and Jacoby Brissett also is good enough to win some games. So, like, what's the upside? What is the future with New England? I mean, you could go and try and bring someone in eventually. I haven't looked too far ahead at the free agent market, but like, what is the plan? Quinn Ewers? Like, would you rather have Quinn Ewers or Drake Maye? Would you rather have like go and look at next year's class? Shador? Like, who are you? You might not even be there. That's the thing. You can't just bank on having a top pick because something could happen where you're an average team with Jacoby Brissett. It might be unlikely, but you could wind up having the 9th pick and all of a sudden now you're not going to grab one of those top guys without
you're the one making the offer. The Vikings are making this.
Yeah, that's where to me it's just like you have your chance right now, and if you miss, you miss. But I do understand it's hard to turn down a huge offer like that. But I personally, as a fan, would be like, all right, we have a shot right now at a guy that a lot of people think could be special.
Let me say one thing: the Pats for all those dynasty years with Tom Brady and Gronk and Bill and Edelman. You know, all Tom Brady really did was throw quick, fast slants. Like that was the Pats offense. You know, Edelman and those other receivers. You know, Gronk. I mean, it wasn't deep balls. The best quarterback in the draft at those intermediate, accurate slants is JJ McCarthy. That's all I'm saying. You want a dynasty part 2? You go back to Michigan and take JJ McCarthy. He's the king of quick slants.
One other team in the top 10 here that I wanted to look at.
I see Tom Brady in him. Like, do you not?
No, they're not the same player at all.
Why?
Jay, you're doing the same thing you did last year where you said CJ Stroud was no good because he played for Ohio State. You're looking at the most recent famous quarterback to play for that school and saying that's who the guy is.
No, I was high on Stroud. He's my top pick last year. I was low on Young. You can attest to that.
I know you were low on Young. Would Stroud?
I did Stroud number 1. And yeah.
Look, I'm
telling you, I'd be funny.
I'm not going to sit here and compare JJ McCarthy to Tom Brady. I'm not ready to do that.
I have a funny football mind, but it's the right football mind.
The other team in the top 10 that I was looking at, the Giants. We talked about them a few weeks ago as well. The Giants have been rumored to go up. I really think the Vikings and the Giants have their eyes on Drake Maye, and that's some of the reports coming out of that. If Drake Maye falls to 3, that's where you can see some fireworks. I wanted to ask you guys, do you think that so if you were the Giants or the Vikings, would you be willing to present a crazy offer to go up to 3? Or like the Giants personally, I don't think that they I personally like Daniel. I think Daniel Jones if needs a receiver. Go ahead. If they can offer, like, what would the Giants offer to New England? You think it would be probably 6, and how would you get up to 3 if you're the Giants?
You probably have to offer a first
Rounder next year. Like, if you're the Giants, if you're a Giants fan, would you rather do that and get Drake Maye while still having Daniel Jones, or continue to build around DJ?
The Giants are going to wait at number 6 and then take Malik Neighbors. That's what they're going to do.
That's what I think as well.
Yeah, I mean, here's so the Giants, they never should have offered Daniel Jones that contract, but the front office decided that contract was a good idea. What has actually changed that would make them, if you've got those priors, that would actually make you think the contract is poor?
Yeah, no, I didn't like it at the time either, but I'm just thinking to myself, if you go up and get Drake Maye, like, again, that team around him is just not good. But at the same time, like, I don't believe in Daniel Jones, and until you have your quarterback, like we've been saying on the show, you're not ready to win. So I can understand the thought process of the Giants going up. I just don't. I'm not buying the smoke.
But you're saying if you offer a bag or you offer a lot to trade up to 3 or whatever and get one of these quarterbacks, do you think ultimately there's much of a difference right now in Daniel Jones versus one of these rookies what the Giants have?
I would rather have Drake Maye than Daniel Jones. That's the reason I understand the Giants going and making a move here. I think Jones is just an okay quarterback. I think Maye could be very good.
But even what the Giants have right now?
No. Now you'd have to build around him. But I just don't think, even if you gave the Giants, some weapons for Daniel Jones, I personally don't think he'll be a very he'll be better, but I don't think he'll be a star quarterback. I think Drake Maye could be a star with the right pieces around him. So
the Giants never built around Daniel Jones.
No, they never have.
Like we don't know.
And it might fall apart completely with Maye too.
We kind of know.
But this is why it's so hard. It's we're all just assuming, all right, like Drake Maye is going to be better.
I'd rather.
Well, you have more evidence that you have less evidence that Drake Maye is going to be bad than Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, you have a lot of bad years in the league. Drake Maye has no bad years in the league.
But like Daniel Jones was he number 5? He was number 5 pick.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't.
Yeah, but so the draft capital starts to matter less the more evidence you put out there. It is more likely Drake Maye will be good than Daniel Jones, given the available evidence.
But why not give the quarterback you paid zillions to weapons and blocking and help? Yeah, why kick him to the curb immediately?
Because he's probably not good.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Is does the Giants front office, do they believe in Daniel Jones enough to continue to invest when there's a chance? Again, I think New England's going to make the pick at 3.
They've given him nothing. He said nothing.
No, they really haven't. So you are a Daniel Jones guy. Let's give him Malik Neighbors.
More than most people.
Because if I'm a Giants fan, I think if I were a Giants fan, I would be pretty happy getting Drake Maye.
Give him Joe Alter, Malik Neighbors.
Okay. Ziggy, if you were a Giants fan, would you prefer to go and trade up for Drake Maye or build around with
it depends what the price to move up is, but I have no faith in Daniel Jones.
First round pick this year, first round pick next year.
I'm probably moving up, but I have no faith in Daniel Jones. And if they don't move up, I think that's fine. Just you got to get a new quarterback soon.
Yeah. So of the two teams, again, the Vikings and the Giants, who Schefter said are probably the most likely wanting to move up. I think the Giants are interested, but not desperate. The Vikings, to me, I think they're all in on Drake Maye. And you were right, or you called exactly what I was thinking, Ziggy. I think they're all in on Drake Maye. They will give 3 first-round picks and maybe even more to go up to 3 if he's there. Again, will New England accept it is the question. But if New England goes Maye, I don't believe that we love McCarthy enough to go up to 4 or 5 or maybe even 6 to make that pick. I think we're more willing to let him slide back and see how the draft falls. I would be disappointed to give up 3 first-round picks from McCarthy.
I hate ACC quarterbacks. I really do.
3 first, as a Viking fan, Ziggy, 3 first-round picks for McCarthy. Would you be disappointed in that?
Probably, but what are you going to do?
I think McCarthy is better than Maye.
I mean, yeah, some people do. I personally would have Maye. All right, we'll wrap up here. So that's the 1 through 12. With a little extra talk on some of the teams we're focused on. The last thing, a lot of Packers fans have been asking in the comments about, who Green Bay will be looking at.
We had to sneak this in here, apparently.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people have been asking who the Packers might be looking at in the draft, and we haven't really hit that so far. So personally, now this is where we could get into a little bit of an argument or disagreement here, because Ziggy and I had one before the show started. It seems that most people are in the Cooper DeJean camp, the Iowa safety.
That's Maye.
Yeah. Well, again, think about Iowa football last year. All defense, all special teams, and Cooper DeJean was basically the special teams on that football team last year. Could play corner, could play slot, could play outside, could play safety. He's a punt returner, explosive punt returner. I mean, the guy can do it all and would fit nicely into the Packers system for next year. I think he's a pretty great pick if Green Bay's able to get him. I'm not sure he'll make it to 25.
But it's not unreasonable.
It's not unreasonable. So first off, if DeJean is on the board, is that who you would go with if you were the Packers?
Yeah, that's what I'm taking. You pretty much nailed it, Paul. He could play in multiple ways. Kind of reminds me last year of what we saw with Brian Branch in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
I think can be a similar impact here with Cooper DeJean in Green Bay.
And Ziggy, you like if DeJean's on the board, is he who's your number one guy for the Packers at 25? Would it be him?
It's interesting, right? DeJean is, I've talked about this a little bit with some people I know here, but DeJean is one of the weirder corner prospects we've seen in a while. He's a really interesting guy, but I don't know. I think that there's a lot to like about him, but I worry using your first round pick on a guy who, positionless football is something people talk about a lot, right? And he reminds me of one of those guys. He's not the most explosive athlete, but he can play a lot of different positions. The thing is you want positionless play from your guys lower down the depth chart. And you want the guys at the top, right? Your stars to be people who are really, really good at a couple of things. And there's a chance that DeJean will be that guy, right? I mean, he's definitely got some athletic ability. He's plays like a receiver at the cornerback position. He gets the ball a lot. He's a decent returner, though I don't think you're going to see much of that in the NFL. But I don't know. I worry about he had a tendency for penalties. I worry about the fact that his reaction speed is only medium. I don't know. I think there's a lot to like about this guy, but I'm not sure he's the slam dunk they think he is.
I get what you're saying too. I'm trying to think. Oh, who is it? Simmons, the Cardinals pick. Was it Isaiah Simmons a few years ago?
Yeah.
That was but that was a different pick.
No, different year. But I'm still saying like those guys who can kind of go all over the place. I see where you're coming from. Where it's sometimes jack of all trades. What's the end of that? Master of none. Like if you're going for a first round talent, someone you really wanted to dominate a position,
you like having a set position that
it's nice when you dominate your position. And I don't know. I'd be lying if I said I watched a ton of Iowa football this year, but it did seem like
did anyone?
Whenever they,
no disrespect. To he was. Yeah.
Whenever they came on, it was DeJean normally making the play for them. Like he was half the offense on special teams, but it is a fair criticism potentially of just how good will he be at the next level when he was really just dominating in the Big Ten against Illinois and those teams.
Hey, look, we're talking about corners, right? We're talking about defensive backs. I think DeJean and what's his name, Jair is a pretty solid duo who can cover against most.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad pick at all. But let's say DeJean is gone or that Green Bay goes over him.
Kool-Aid.
Where Ziggy and I were debating is I think the Packers, if not DeJean, are going to go along the offensive line and try and really iron out that unit. And Ziggy, you said you think it's ridiculous if they go Graham Barton, the Duke center, or Jackson Powers Johnson, the center/guard for Oregon.
I look.
Or at least you seem to say it was ridiculous.
You can get good centers and good guards in free agency. Now, the guard market is going up, and actually it went up so much this year that a guy like Jackson Powers Johnson, I mean, I actually watched some Oregon and Oregon State football. The dude can play.
Oh, he's awesome this year.
But I like to take premium positions in the first round if you can. I like guys. Those are very good players, but I'm not sure they have the genuinely elite upside.
Mm-hmm.
The guy I like, and I know Packers fans are sick of taking players on the defensive line, but I think if Chop Robinson is there, you've got to take him. I get that he only played a year at Penn State, but with how good he was this year and with how unbelievably athletic he was, I mean, you saw this. Some of the best tackles in the Big Ten, he would just step around them and just run straight to the quarterback. He was so freaking good. The only reason you're getting a guy of that kind of talent is that he didn't play a lot and didn't produce a lot in his earlier years because he wasn't playing. But I don't know. I think that if you have a possibility to get a guy with that kind of athletic talent and that kind of pass rush ability, even if he's raw, I think he could be a genuine star. And it's tough to get genuine
And
stars
you
that
can never
late in
have
the
enough.
first round.
You can never have enough of those guys too.
No, and you're not like there are some really excellent interior offensive linemen in the NFC North, and I'm not criticizing them, but like Frank Ragnow. Say the center you take becomes Frank Ragnow. That's like a 99th percentile outcome. That's just not as impactful as having even a excellent but not elite edge rusher.
I'm just looking at this Packer offense right now is basically ready to go. I mean, you could roll them out right now, and I do think if they get another center or guard, you can move Josh Myers over if you get a center. Like it's really hard to find some holes on this offense right here. Where again, yeah, they can skate by, they can get by without it. Probably, maybe I'm sure they'll address guard at some point in the draft, but
it doesn't have to be round.
It doesn't have to be round one. But if they do get a guy, I mean, they are like Zach Tom at right tackle. I mean, Elton Jen, like they're already set on offense. So I don't think if Packers fans are getting upset about drafting more defensive players, just sit back and go like, all right.
Eventually, one of them's got to hit.
Yeah,
right.
If this defense becomes elite this year, that's just Super Bowl's on. So I don't think that's a horrible take, Ziggy. I just have the feeling that they're going to go with one of those linemen because it is a very deep offensive line draft in this class. But yeah, if Chop's there, maybe they go Chop.
Hey, Chop, the last defender from Penn State to number 11, he was pretty successful.
Yeah, so. pretty good.
Can you imagine if that's the guy they get? Like that's the kind of upside you're looking at, right? When you're looking at an athletic pass rush freak.
That's probably what he would turn into on the Packers.
Yeah, probably.
Same with the Steelers.
Well, I mean, you have to remember too, Lucas Van Ness is just sitting there waiting for his breakout as well. Like if these guys start to mature for Green Bay and turn into the talent that they're hoping for, I don't think going defense when you have a loaded offense like that, going defense and just making that unit more disgusting is probably the way to go. But yeah, there you have it. So a little bit of mock draft stuff.
Before we head out, can you offer me a hypothetical deal that the Vikings would offer the Patriots?
I think it would be to go up to 3.
And like, what would Vikings give?
You're probably talking number 11 this year, number 23 this year, a first rounder next year, at the least. And now, like, I
think you throw in a third rounder next year. I think that's as high as they'd go.
Yeah, and then a third round. Jeez, I mean, I've seen some people even say a second rounder in 2026 because we don't have one next year.
No, don't give up.
Insane.
That's too much.
Is there a chance like McCarthy falls to 23 or no?
McCarthy to 23?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think so.
Do you want to hear my?
There is absolutely a chance.
I would be stunned if McCarthy falls past 12. Really, even now.
Do you want to hear my prediction for the Patriots?
Yeah.
They will somehow, some way, end up with JJ McCarthy, Ladd McConkey, who becomes the Edelman, and Brock Bowers, who becomes the Gronk. And then, I mean, the league's in trouble for the next 15 years.
I wonder if there's a world where they would take Marvin Harrison Jr.
Can you see Ladd McConkey on the Patriots? Like, he is a Patriots receiver.
Yeah, I mean, if you follow the Welker, Edelman, like,
I mean, McCarthy,
slot receiver.
McCarthy, Bowers, and McConkey.
I mean,
that's a nightmare waiting to happen.
They need a lot of help there too. Ziggy's just like this.
Ziggy's like,
it's a new regime, guys. We don't know what they're gonna do, but that's ridiculous.
Yeah. I think so. Final prediction for New England: I think they go Drake Maye.
JJ McCarthy.
What do you think, Ziggy?
I'm also feeling Maye, but who knows?
All right,
McCarthy.
We'll see what happens. Look, it's gonna be a great draft day. We'll have reactions to that hopefully during the day.
I think they passed with the Super Bowl with McConkey and McCarthy.
I can't wait to see the comment section for Jack's draft takes in this episode.
No, I mean Jack is gonna get lit up.
No. There will be more people than you think who agree with my takes. Watch.
Okay, all right. We'll have to see.
We'll see, man.
The other strange people minds will come into play, and they'll.
If you agree with Jack, you can scroll down to the comments right now and see if they're lighting him up. Leave him something positive. At least say like a good try, champ. Way to go, sport.
You know what? The nice thing is after the draft comes, really, because even today, I mean, there's been some news on. We're recording on Monday night. There's been some news coming out, but really, like 2 weeks, it's been so quiet, and I'm just excited to have some news to talk about again. We'll see.
Pirates baseball season, baby.
Yeah, Pirates baseball is going on, but it'll be. I can't wait to have some picks, and some fan base is getting excited because it's getting a little stale for me this waiting game. So I can't wait for Thursday. And we'll have Ziggy on the ground in Denver reporting on all things Denver Broncos, Jack, all things Tennessee Titans, and I'll just be holding down the fort back at home here. So
I'll be in my cowboy hat in Aldean's bar, monitoring the Titans picks.
Well, Ziggy, good luck at the with your speech on Friday as well.
Good luck, Ziggy.
Thanks.
Hopefully, we will probably have a Thursday episode, but just in case we don't, good luck with that.
We'll see. I'm gonna do my best to record my audio so that maybe you can at least get a little listen in on what it's like when Ziggy talks about Mary Shepard.
For any of the for any of the philosophy fans of the Paul Farrington show, they could too.
We've got more than I expected.
We have a few who really know what they're talking. Well, actually, who am I to say? I don't know who knows what they're talking about, but it seems like we have a few who at least are inquisitive. So, we thank everyone again for listening. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And just a couple more days, guys. A couple more days till draft time, and a lot of fun conversations to be had. We'll see you next time.